So I remember back when I was in college, my modus operandi at the time was basically like, hey, why don't I, I'll do okay in school, and, then pretty much when I'm done with school, I'm gonna go home, play video games, and I'll do the test last minute, and I'll do my homework last minute, all the good stuff that makes everyone super happy and enlightened, right? Well, anyway, so I was chilling. That was pretty much what I did, modus operandi, for about 2-3 years, right? After a while, I started being like, I kind of want to have some more fun, so I started like making these really big events with like canoeing and kayaking with my friends, and that was kind of like the first thing I would ever really plan out with my friends. Like, oh, we'll go canoeing then, and then we'll go off-roading my truck then we'll go shoot off some guns, stuff like that. So I started planning a little bit before then, but most of my life was pretty much just impulsive. I'll just go do whatever sounds fun. That's how I even started being, when I went to college, was because I was in physics class, and my teacher was talking about Isaac Newton, and I was like, oh, well, that sounds cool. I didn't really think about things too much, right? And, I remember going through college, most of my friends, they were getting their internships, and they were getting pretty good jobs, NIPSCO or whatever. And I was just sitting there, freaking dick in hand, like, I'll just fucking play Minecraft. Minecraft's fun. I'll go work in fast food. That was a great idea, right? But that's what I did. So, going to college, I kind of just did the current, like, just whatever. Wasn't really paying too much attention about jobs or anything like that, right? Well, come senior year, most of my friends... So come senior year, we're at this career fair down in Purdue, right? It was called the Industrial Roundtable. Just a career fair for engineers, right? Nothing fancy. And, I remember I went up there and I had my, totally pathetic resume of like, oh, I fucking work at KF Chicken. I got Portillo's, so obviously I'm the best engineer you've ever fucking seen. Right? That was my fast food to success resume, and it looked about as good as a KFC chicken wing. You know what I'm saying? And I went out there and I had my friends. They had like their fucking huge big balls resumes, and I was like, damn, dude, that looks good. They had really good elevator speeches too. I was not good at elevator speeches. Mine was like, hey, I'm Dinkle Dick. Do you need me to fucking coffee for you? Anyways, so, we go to the Industrial Roundtable. I remember I suited up real nice. I spent like whatever money I had on a really nice suit, Men's Warehouse. It was like the first style thing I've ever had, and I was like, damn, I'm feeling fancy. But apparently a suit doesn't just get you a job. So, I go to Industrial Roundtable with my slacks on, all looking good, with my friends, and they're just killing the career fair, right? And they're getting jobs, they're getting interviews, they're getting a lot, right? Meanwhile, me, I'm just about as nervous then as I was a couple years later hitting on girls. I was like, how's it going? I'm fucking, not knowing what I'm doing. Just total beat mode, right? That was like the first time I realized, I'm like, wow, this shit, like, if I want to become a level up from fucking fry cook to like engineer big balls, I'm gonna have to figure some shit out, right? So once I get back from the career fair, over that course of the whole first semester of my senior year, and I'm working on my resume a little bit, applying to 1 or 2 jobs a month, and you know how it is. It's hard to just find jobs. Like, where do you just find an engineer job? It's not like you just Google engineer jobs. Like, oh, here's all 100 companies in your area that are hiring. You got to like look for it, and it was very obvious. And I got pretty burnt out pretty fast. But I didn't really worry about it too much. Just hang out with my friends, just having a good time. I was like, well, if I got B's and A's in school, I'll be okay, right? It'll be fine. Well, apparently not. You gotta do more than that. So I'm chilling, and now it's the next semester, right? Now most of my friends have gotten accepted to jobs, and most of them are kind of just chilling, like waiting for the last 9 weeks to end, right? Meanwhile, me is sitting there. I'm like, like at first it would like kind of bug me a little bit, but now I was just like going to sleep every night like, what am I gonna fucking do? What am I gonna do? I gotta figure it out, right? And I started getting not just like sad, but I don't think I was depressed, but I was getting pretty sad, and like most of the things I would normally do weren't really fun anymore, and I was like, oh, I just got, like my little anxiety was freaking out. I was like, you just gotta fucking apply to fucking something. And I would improve my resume, but it still looked like shit because there wasn't anything in there, It was just fucking didn't do dick for nothing. And But, I worked on it a little bit. I applied a couple more jobs, but, like, there was just so much, like, oh, you fucked up. You didn't fucking do this. You should have got internships a couple years ago. That at this point in my life, I was just like, dude, like, I'm fucking, like, I had, like, no motivation. I didn't see a way out of this problem, and it was just going to be so much work. I was getting bumfuckled, right? But then my friend showed me Jordan Peterson, right? And I remember the first video I saw of him was when he was with, I think it was Kathy Newman, and basically, she was trying to roast his biscuits, and he just looked super smart and chill and Chad, and you roasted her instead, right? So that was awesome. He was roasting her pretty good. And I was like, oh, it's so funny, right? It's so funny. Man, roast chick, right? I was all into those stupid videos back in that day. But then, as you watch this video, like the roast, and then you're like, oh, well, what is this about here? What do you say about, women would say about getting a job, right? And then I ended up on his video where it was like how to orient yourself to like get what you want, right? And it was the self-authoring videos, right? And like he was saying, you have to, that's my best impression, you have to think about if you did everything right, where you would be at in 5 years, right? So I was sitting there, super sad. I just got broken up with. I was just sitting there, fucking dig out, like, what the fuck? Couldn't apply to jobs. And I found that video, and I was just like, man, where would I be in 5 years? And I was like, obviously gonna have a girlfriend, right? Probably a wife at that point. Cool house. I'm going to have some acreage in my backyard, the little beaver dam creek in the backyard, maybe a little pond, a couple machine guns would be nice. Those Miatas look pretty cool, like I can put like a turbo in and have a really fast, fun car, a lot of friends, right? And I'm like, wow, that sounds awesome. You maybe put a zip line from my house to the beaver dam creek to where the beaver makes me a pond, right? So I could like jump in, like, yeah, that sounds fucking cool, right? I'm like, that could work, right? That could be doable. And then I thought, and then the next part of the video was Jordan Peterson said, now you got to think, and that's what you would be if you did everything perfectly for the next 5 years, right? And he's like, okay, now think where you'd be if you did everything wrong for the next 5 years. And I was like, ooh, I'd be living in my mom's basement. Working, my ex had become the manager of the place I was working at then, so I'd be working under her still, with her new man who was also in management, right? And I was like, because I was already doing that now, and it was like aggravating, but I knew if I was to do that for 5 more years, I'd never figured shit out. I just kept doing the same thing every day. I'm like, that's totally where I would have ended up at, and that would have really, really sucked some balls. I would have been terrible. Oh my gosh, just thinking about that, it's crazy. And so Peterson said something along the lines like, you have to think about what you really want and what you really don't want in life. And you use both of those things together to help motivate you forward to what you want and motivate you away from what you don't want, right? Boom, I got hands. So I was listening to that and I was like, wow, that totally makes sense. So I thought about that, and I thought about it a lot, and I thought about my current situation, and I ended up applying to over 250 jobs, basically using that advice. At first I get a little sad, and like, oh, I ain't shit, I'm so stupid. And then I would be like, whoa, where are you going to be in 5 years? Think about shooting a machine gun off a zip line, Dylan. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. So I applied a couple more, and then I'd be like, oh, I don't want to do anything else. I want to watch YouTube. I want to be dumb, fucking beat off. And then my brain would be like, oh, what would happen if you did that too long? I'd think about working with my ex at Portillo's, and I was like, oh, no, I can't go there. I can't go back. Fuck, don't do it. And I would apply to more and more jobs, and sure enough, after like 3 months of applying to like 10 or 20 jobs a day, and I also had some help too. All my friends, I used their resumes, copied and pasted theirs, they helped me get up really good resumes, and the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is right over here somewhere. They actually have a secret cover letter in there. They don't tell you about it, but the cover letter's totally in there. And I took the cover letter from there, and I used it for all my cover letters. She changed it up a little bit, right? But I was like, oh yeah. And after 250 jobs, I finally got a fucking job. I was so pumped, and it was like, they're like, oh yeah, you know, starting's like $60K an hour, and I was like, or $60K a year, right? I was like, oh my god, that's so much fucking money. You know, I was like going from like not even, I think I was at 950 fucking peso plebs an hour, and I was like, fuck, and I just needed a spare coin, right? Just one spare coin, please. And like 60K, I was fucking pumped. I loved it. I felt like Giga Chad the Third. I finally got the job, right? After spending probably like 300 hours sweating my balls off, you know, on the resume, on the fucking interview questions. I had a whole list. Like, here's like the top 20 questions. I even went from like my normal goofy, I was like, oh, it's so fun, I love you a lot, to being all like serious and stoic, like, yes, I am interested in your job for these reasons, you know? And it worked too. I fucking got the job. I was so pumped. I felt I was super high. My emotional baseline went from like here to like boo. I was near the top of the list. And yeah, life was really good. And then I used that same strategy to get into the place that actually had more of an environment suitable for like the dream I want. Because you have Beaver Creek, yeah, it's not flood. You need some hills, and hills are just pretty. So I ended up moving to southern Indiana, getting a job out there, and yeah, I got a job out in a place I really wanted to. It's my first job. It's like a starter job, you know what I mean? But I used the same skills and ethic and everything to get the job I really fucking wanted. And now I just need to save up a little bit more money for a house, and everything I want, I'm gonna get. Thanks for watching, King.